since I started my presentations, the last two presentations, I am always traveling, and I have no technical support, and internet is always a problem. Even today I'm traveling, but today I'm in an advanced country. I'm in Istanbul, so it's a little bit easier to get this started. But also they had some problems getting me started here. That's why I got in a little bit late. So I'm very sorry. If I was sitting in Riyadh, it will be easier because I have all the support, but on the road, it's not so easy. Now, I'm continuing talking about the Quran and biological sciences. Just to recap, the first time I talked about Quran, giving us some concepts that we use in biology. You talked about the concept of optimality, that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created is optimal. You cannot find anything biologically better. I talked about the concept of perfection, that all what Allah created is perfect. Now, in the lecture after that, I was trying to talk about the incomparability, that Allah's creation cannot be compared to anything else. Whatever you look at, Allah's creation is the best. And I gave several examples. For example, the mechanical efficiency or the energy efficiency of the human liver, no human machine can come near that. Very clear that what Allah created is incomparable. Humans cannot do anything similar to that. And I read some Quranic verses to show all of that. Now, today, I am going to be more specialized to reveal and to discuss these concepts or Quranic concepts in the field of anatomy. That is study of the structure of the body. Next week, next time, I will talk about these concepts in the fields of physiology and pharmacology and biochemistry. And then after that, maybe I will talk about these concepts in the field of epidemiology. So now, talking about anatomy, the human body is well organized at 4 levels: the cell, the tissue, the organ, and the organ system. And it's actually like 2 cylinders. There is the spinal cord as a cylinder, and then there is a rod with the vertebral column, and then the rest of the body around it. And it's very well organized, actually, when you look at it. And because of that, we come to understand the importance of biology as we read the Quran. The Quran is a book of religion, worship, knowing Allah. But it has got a lot of anatomical words, anatomical terminology. Sometimes I wonder why we Muslims are not the best scientists, because the Quran is talking about scientific facts everywhere. So the Quran has mentioned organs, the head, the cheek, the chin. It has talked about the fingers, the elbow, the upper arm. It has talked about the back. It has talked about the lower limb, the leg, the shin, the skeleton, the muscles. All of those are mentioned in verses of the Quran. So as the Muslim reads, actually, his mind should be drawn to asking the question, why is Allah talking about this? Now, you see at this Hajj, وَأَتِمُّوا الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَ لِلَّهِ فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدِيِ وَلَا تَحْلِقُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ. This is the mention of the head. And then إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ النَّعِيمِ لُقْمَانَ إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا فِي عَنَاقِهِمْ. This is about the neck. لا يأخذكم الله بلغف أيمانكم ولا يأخذكم في بما أقدتم الأيمان فكفارة طعام 10 مساكين من أوسط ما تأكلون. Okay, so these are verses that really mention a lot of anatomical terms. ولا تجعل يدك, this about the hand. ومن حيث خرجت فولي وجهك, this about the face. أو كصيب من السماء في ظلمات ورعد وبرق يجعلن أصابعهم, this about the fingers. About the fingers. إن الذين يبيعونك إنما يبيعون يد الله فوق أيديهم, this about the hand. سنشد عضدك, this is about the trunk. This is about the back. وإذ أخذ ربك من بني آدم من ظهورهم ذريتهم, you know, this about the back. So there is a lot of mention of anatomic terms in the Quran. فلما تدله للجبين, this is about the face. وعلى جنوبهم, this about the side of the body. Okay, and then it talks about the wudu, the organs used in wudu. أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق. Okay, وامسحوا برؤوسكم, it's about the head, the hands, and then the head. وارجلكم, the legs, إلى الكعبين, to the two ankles. Okay, so there is a lot of talk in the Quran on the organs of the body. I would like that if we read the Quran with thinking, tadabbur, we should always ask ourselves, why this mention of these organs? Because as they are mentioned, you need to remember the creator of these organs. The creator of these organs created them for reasons. He created them for ibadah. We use them for ibadah, but also we can use them for ma'asiyah, to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can use them for aggression, for sins, for work. Okay, for example, for ibadah, when there is a hadith that says that salah is on 7 bones, you know, the bone of the face, the bone of the 2 elbows, and then the bones of the 2 knees. Now, these organs also can commit zina, as the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, which I quoted. I will give you the PowerPoint in the references, that the eye, the ear, and the leg can all commit zina. The genitals is just to provide the final proof. So the organs are very important and are mentioned everywhere. We have got the organs of wudu. You know, we wash the face, we wash the hands. Now, why? There is ibadah in wudu, that's the spiritual part of it, but also ibadah has got hygienic significance. Now, is this hygienic significance that's really one of the miracles of the Quran? Because when you look at it, when we do wudu, we wash only exposed organs. We wash only the organs that are exposed to environmental pollution. The environment has got pollutants, dirty things, got bacteria, viruses. So whenever we make wudu, we wash those parts of the body that are exposed to pollution. The face is exposed because you cannot keep your face closed. The hands are always open. The forearm, the leg, the ear, the mouth, the nose, and the hair. It's so important to understand this, because when you are making wudu and you're wearing a turban on your head, you don't remove it. You wipe on the turban. If you wear the turban when you had wudu, and then you go out and you want to repeat wudu, you wipe on the turban, which makes it very clear that what we are doing is removing environmental pollution that comes us from the air. Now, water is the basis of life. And anatomy, we know that water is really the essence of life. As the Quran says, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ, that every living thing, we made it, or we brought it from water. أَفَلَا تُؤْمِنُونَ? Because water is 60% of the human body. Is found in the cells and outside the cells. So the majority of our body is water, and as Quran says, life, water is the essence of life. This is a miracle, because this is a book revealed 15 centuries ago, and it is mentioning scientific facts that only became known recently. Now, why is water the essence of life? Because it's a solvent. Water can dissolve most things. So all the chemical composition of the body can be dissolved by the water, and also water mediates all chemical functions of the body. So that's why it's very important, and this is shown in the verse that says that وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. There is another miracle that we need to be aware of. You know, everything, when it's heated, it expands. And when it becomes cold, it contracts. Except water. When water approaches zero and below zero, it starts expanding. You know, this is very important for the maintenance of life, because if water was to continue contracting inside the body, then it would become a stone, and then life wouldn't continue. Structurally, our body is made up of small parts called the cells. And actually, the term Jamal used by the Quran indicates this, that the body is collected from several small building blocks. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the ability to expand and to compress. I want to take time to talk about this. You will notice that the cell, a small cell, carries out all the functions that the whole body carries out on its own. It can do metabolism, it can eat, it can reproduce, it can excrete waste, it is sensitive, it can communicate. Recent research has shown that cells communicate with one another. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yabsit, Allah can expand, and also yaqbil, can compress. So you notice that all the functions of life that are found in the living body, in the human being, this is the expansion at the macro level, are also found, yaqbil, also found at the micro level in the cell. So this verse of the Quran is really talking about biology, but to understand it, you need to understand anatomy very well. Another miracle of Allah's creation is about the cells. You see, our cells look similar. The cells of the skin, the cells of the leg, they look similar in many ways, but they do different things in different parts of the body. Again, this is the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we go deeper, we know that what controls the cell is DNA, the DNA molecule. Now, all cells of the body have got the same DNA, but then they do different things. The same compound of DNA does different things in different parts of the body. So it's not something mechanical. This is Allah's way, Allah's miracle, that He makes the DNA in different parts of the cell and in different stages of life do different things, although it is exactly the same DNA. And science up to today has not been able to explain this adequately. They just say it happens like that. But this is the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he did it. Now, I have talked about complexity and specialization of the cell. Now, this complexity was created by Allah. It didn't occur by chance. You know, the people who believe in evolution say that the cell is complex and perfect because it kept on changing, and by chance there is a change, a mutation. Those that mutation that are good survive, those that are not good do not survive. No, this is not true. The complexity and specialization of these cells was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala de novo. And many people argue a lot about evolution and creation. Now, this is a waste of time, because we cannot set up a laboratory experiment to prove either way. The answer is only from wahy. As we talked at the beginning, knowledge can be from ilm aqli, human knowledge, or ilm naqli, or revealed knowledge. Now, to know about the matters of creation and evolution, you need to go to ilm naqli. You cannot use ilm aqli. Now, I want to continue to talk about phenomena in anatomy that the Quran has mentioned, and I will be showing the actual verses. Parity, zawjain, that everything is created in pair. See, our body is in pairs. So parity of zawjain or zawjiyya is one of the sunanullah fil khalq, is one of the constants of creation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. So as we study anatomy, any part of the body, we see this parity being illustrated. It's a constant. Now, if something is constant, found everywhere, it cannot be by chance. It means somebody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, must have made it. Now, we can see this parity in our gender. We have male and female. That's a parity. We are in pair. Okay. And this parity is essential for human society. And organs occur in pairs. See, you have got 2 lungs, you have got 2 brains, you've got 2 hands, 2 legs. So every organ, even organs that look like they are 1, they actually 2. Because when you look carefully from the way they developed embryologically, you will see that the heart, we actually have got 2 hearts, the left and right heart, although they go to wrapped around and they no longer appear as 2 separate organs. The uterus is 2. The brain, we have got 2 brains. And actually, this one of Allah's creation, that you have got 2 brains that are mirror images of one another. I'll always be talking about the purpose behind the parity of the organs. Now, also, when we look at animals and plants, we see that there is parity. Parity is a constant of nature. Sunanullah fil kawn, walan tajil sunnatillahi tabdila. And study of anatomy emphasizes this Quranic phenomena of parity. Now, why did Allah create everything in the human body as a pair? Because you need balance and harmony. You see, the right brain and the left brain have got some differences between them. Paired organs are not always the same. There is some difference between them. So sometimes you need to have a balance. But the most important thing is that these organs are a spare part for the other. When you get injury in your right brain, the left brain after time can take over all the functions of the right brain. But in normal circumstances, you have like 2 brains, but they're a little bit different. We, for example, know that thinking and emotions, certain actions, are more in the left brain than the right brain. They're slightly different. But in case of injury of one brain, the other adapts and can take over all the functions of the other brain. Same with the lungs. You could lose one of your lungs completely, and you survive to the age of 100 on only one lung. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like created a spare for you. Also the DNA, which is the cell, genetic material that controls the whole body, is in a double helix. It has got zawjiyat, it is in parity. So the Quran talked a lot about this parity, and I have several verses that you will read when we finish this. Sunnatullah fi alladhina khalu min qabl wa lan tajid li sunnatillahi tabdila. This talks about the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala following sunan, fixed laws, and parity is one of these laws. Okay, and it also talks about something that's very important in terms of parity. Men and women. This parity, Allah created the parity, two genders, because the two genders are complementary. They help one another. The Quran put it in a very clear way when it said, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun. Your wives are a garment for you, and you are a garment for them. And Quran talks about the creation of parity in all living things, not only humans, because as I said, parity is one of the constant laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in creation. Subhanalladhi khalaqa al-azwaja kullaha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala subhanahu created all pairs, and he says mimma tunbitul ard, in the plants, wa min anfusihim, and also from human beings. So parity is a law or a paradigm of the Quran found in all creation. Now the night and day is another parity. هو الذي خلق الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر. Also the sun and the moon are a parity. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them as a parity. So creating things in pair is a very constant law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we study anatomy, we find it very illustrated. Now, this is where I come to the question. A specialist in anatomy, why doesn't he believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? After seeing that there is this law of parity that works on all organs, could this occur by chance? You know, the human brain should be able to realize that this couldn't occur by chance. There is a creator, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not guide the scientists to Iman, because as we said before, that it's not the outer eyes that go blind. It's the inner eye of the heart. You can study anatomy, study the cell, see that there is parity, there is symmetry, see all these features being constant in the body, but then the mind does not click to think that there must be a great creator for this, that this couldn't arise by chance. Now, symmetry. Our body is symmetrical. We have got both circular and lateral symmetry, and humans have tried to create symmetry. They use symmetry in the works of art, but the symmetry of Allah's creation is very special, and you can see it very easily. What Allah created is symmetrical. You can have circular or lateral symmetry, left and right, but human creation cannot come anywhere near Allah's creation. And actually, when you look at human creations, they all try to reproduce imperfectly what Allah created. The plane looks like the bird a lot. The car, the boat looks like the fish. So the symmetry is another constant of Allah's creation, but no human creation can come near it. Now, another feature that we come across in biology is laterality, left and right. The Quran has discussed laterality in several verses, and we have got two sides, but then there is a difference in the two sides, like the right and left sides of the body. There are differences. The left and right hand, there are differences. So, but there is right and left, and also there are differences in function that the Quran has explained, the Sunnah has explained. For example, when talking about the hands, the right hand is for eating and greeting. The left hand is for hygiene. The Prophet taught us to sleep on the right side of the body. When we are wearing shoes, we start with the right. And when we put them off, we start with the left. Some people do not realize the depth of these things. Don't realize the depth of these things. So these teachings about left and right, each one has got purposes. Each one has got advantages. The scientists can read and understand these purposes, but the problem is many of them don't get guided to Iman, because after seeing this, you should ask yourself, who created this? There must be a creator, and this must be a great creator, because this creation is so perfect. Now let us talk about this issue of right and left. Let's talk more about the brain. The human brain has two identical hemispheres, the left and right brain. As I said, they differ in function. And that's why sometimes you see people, they say this has got right-handed brain, left-handed brain, because some people have got more in terms of the emotional dimension. Some people have got more in terms of the intellectual dimension. So there are differences between the two hemispheres. And each person has got a dominant hemisphere. Like people who write using the left, it's their right brain that is dominant. People who write using the right hand, it is their left brain that is dominant. But this dominance can change. And as I said, if one part of the brain is injured, the one on the other side can take over these functions. Okay? Now, so Quran talks about this handedness, عن اليمين وعن الشمال عزين in Surah Al-Ma'arij, and talks about handedness in other verses that inshallah we will be seeing. Now, we have already talked about complexity with simplicity. We want now to talk more about it. The human body is very complex. It does complex things. And students of medicine are continuing studying the body. Until now, we have not yet finished studying the body, the detail and complexity, even in the smallest organ, even the smallest tissue. Now, what is surprising is that this complexity is associated with basic simplicity. Basically, all the body is made up of cells as a building block. And as I said, the cells of different parts of the body generally look the same. Okay? But it's a miracle that this complex body, from the brain to the bones to the muscles, are made up of these simple building blocks. So the construction seems to be very simple, but what is constructed is very, very complex. And to make it more surprising, the building blocks, the cells which are the bricks that we use, they themselves are very complex. Because as I mentioned before, the cell has got all the functions that the whole body carries out. it can feed, it can excrete, it can reproduce. So, and it's being, of course, controlled by the DNA molecules. Some of the differences that we see are due to very simple construction. For example, males and females, we look very different in emotions, in appearance, in structure, in height, in strength of bones. But we have got only 2 chromosomes out of the 46 chromosomes. Only two chromosomes are responsible for the complex differences that you find between males and females. Now, another illustration of the simplicity with complexity. The human body has got a lot of metabolic processes. These are chemical processes that go on in the body, but the end product is very simple: glucose and amino acids. So the point I'm trying to make is that as we study anatomy, we see features that the Quran has talked about, and they increase our iman that there is a great creator. Now, the structure of the body is always related to its function, and this is very clear in anatomy. Now, structure and function vary in different parts of the body. Also, they vary in different people. There are also differences at different ages, different genders, different races. There are differences among humans and among different parts of the body. But all of these differences are part of Allah's great creation. So students of anatomy, I'm soon coming to an end, are entertained to look at these differences in Allah's creation. Ahsan al-Khaliqeen, that's the Quranic verse. Ahsan al-Khaliqeen, Allah is the best creator. As we look at the human body, we need to remember this. Biology, there is consistency and predictability. See, everything is consistent and predictable what will happen. That's why we make medicines, because we know what they will produce. There is anticipation. You can anticipate what will happen. When you cut off oxygen to the brain, you lose consciousness. Things don't happen by chance, because they are part of the sunan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is protection. Our skull is there to protect our brain. Earwax, for example, is a secretion that protects the inner ear. Immunity is protection. So all of these features were created in a systematic way. Creation, or the human process, occurs in stages. Again, this is another manifestation of a deliberate creator. Changes. Biology is always changing. There is our life cycle. We are born small, we grow, and then eventually we do die. We grow. Growth also is part of the changes that occur in biology. And when this growth is very well organized, again, there is a creator who organized everything, because if something goes wrong, then disease occurs. Like cancer is due to disorganized growth of the cells. Now, growth is increase in size, development is increase in complexity. All of these occur in all parts of the body. What I want to illustrate is that the human body is actually mihrab al-iman. It is the mihrab where we can get iman, because as you study it deeper and deeper and deeper, you realize that everything there was created in a deliberate way. DNA has integrity that is protected, and mitosis and meiosis, these are ways the cells divide to increase in size. Again, they occur in a very systematic and organized way. and this division is very well controlled. When we are still in the uterus and growing up, our body keeps on changing physically and chemically, but again, according to a fixed thing. So the Quran, and I will end with this, talks about this embryological growth. Ya ayyuhan nas, O you people, in kuntum fi rayb min al-ba'th, if you have any doubts about being brought back from death, then Quran talks about the stages of embryology. فَإِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ, we made you from soil, ثُمَّ مِن نُطْفَةٍ, then from a sperm, ثُمَّ مِن عَلَقَةٍ, this is a piece of meat, and مُضْغَةٍ, also another piece of meat, وَنُقِرُّ فِي الْأَرْحَامِ, and we put you in the uterus, إِلَى أَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى, for a period of time, ثُمَّ نُخْرِجُكُمْ طِفْلًا, then we bring you out as babies, لِتَبْلُغُوا أَشُدَّكُمْ, so that you can grow and become mature. وَمِنْكُمْ مَنْ يَتَوَفَّى, some of you die. وَمِنْكُمْ مَنْ يُرَدُّ الْأَرْضَ لِلْعُمُرِ, and some of you stay until a very old age. So this staged growth from embryology until we grow up is also another manifestation that the Quran talks about. So I think I will stop here. My time is over. We'll continue next time to talk about Quranic paradigms that are found in the areas of biochemistry, physiology, and pharmacology. Today we talked about Quranic paradigms in anatomy. Basically, it's the paradigms of optimal creation and perfect creation and purposive creation. And each part of the creation is a miracle to the creator, because things couldn't have happened by chance. They must have a deliberate creator who made everything so well organized and so well consistent. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Can we have 10 minutes questions time, Prof? Q&A.
Okay. Okay.
Jalia, open 10 minutes for Q&A.
Yes, I will check in the chat box first. If anyone have the question, you can raise your hand, direct question. Yes.
Oh, I cannot open the chat.
Prof, there is the question from Rafiu Showwall. He asking that some medical or health material usually advise us to sleep on the left side. Where do you go? On the left side. Prof, is there any valid medical reason for this?
For sleeping on the left, on the right?
Yes, he said for medical health, advice to sleep on the left side. Any valid medical reason for this?
There is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ on what side to sleep. I think maybe left or right, but there is a hadith on this matter, and people have done research and they have found that there are advantages in sleeping on the side that the Prophet ﷺ told us to sleep on. So they need to check on this. First of all, we check on the hadith, and then look up on Google. You will get a lot of writings. Advantages of sleeping on the right or on the left, or disadvantages, and it will be very clear. You will see a lot of research has been done in this.
Yes. And the question from Nuruddin, he asking that, Prof, can you explain whether the term Bashar and Insan have the same meaning in the Quran?
Bashar. Okay. The Quran, and this is one of the miracles of the Quran, it uses several words that are similar to one another linguistically, but they have got some fine differences. So the Quran refers to the human as insan. It refers to him as Banu Adam. It refers to him as Bashar. Also, there are other terminologies that are used. Now, you need to understand the Quran is always contextual. When it talks about Bashar, you need to see the context of that verse. Get the correct meaning, you must use the context. So that's what the books of tafsir do. The term Bashar may not mean the same meaning exactly throughout the Quran. It's about the context where it is being used. But Bashar refers to a human being, just as like other terms like Banu Adam, Insan, they refer to human beings, but the meaning varies according to the context where it is used.
Thank you, Prof. There, from Nuruddin also, he asked another question. What about evolution claim that there are vertical organ that are useless?
Yes. This is one of the falsities of the evolutionists. And they shouldn't continue making this claim. Because a long time ago, not a long time ago, maybe 100 years ago, doctors thought that the appendix was useless in the body because they didn't know its function. Now we know the appendix is very important in the immune system. So some organs that they consider vestigial, it means they are there and are no longer useful, they have got a purpose. All what they are saying is that they are ignorant of that purpose because Allah didn't create anything superfluous in the body. And sooner or later, we discover the functions of those different organs, just as we did with the appendix. Now we know that it plays a very important role in the immune system. So the concept of vestigial organs is just admission of ignorance.
MashaAllah. And I think this is the last question. He asked about how parity in plant. Can you please give a brief scientific point, Prof?
Yes. Plants, first of all, they are male and female plants. Also, they are male and female parts of the plants, the same plant. As you know, the pollination from some flower to the other. So parity is found in the plants. The plant itself also has got the left and right, as we said with the human being. There are male and female plants. There are male and female parts of the plant. So parity is a paradigm of creation that we find in everything. There is nowhere in creation that you cannot find things occurring in pairs as zawjain. Yeah.
The new question, and I think this is the last. Just now said the last, but this inshallah the last one. Doctor, you talking about right and left brain. Please explain for more clear. Thank you, Prof.
Yes, Allah Jazik Khair. So human beings, we have got actually two brains, similar to one another in everything except just a few things. They are connected by something called corpus callosum. There is something that connects the two brains so that they can communicate. As I say, each brain has the capacity to do what the other brain can do. In other words, like you have got a spare. You must have noticed people who get accidents and they cannot talk, or they cannot think, they cannot handle things. But with the time, they are able to do it. It is because the other brain has taken over that function. But in normal life, both brains are active, and there is a bit of a balance between them. because one could be specialized more in some things than in the other. Like speech, the ability to speak is on a cortex of one of the brains. Now I forget whether it's the right or the left brain. The ability to move muscles, and actually on the brain you can map which part of the brain controls certain muscles. Usually one brain is dominant about some actions, the other one is a little bit dormant. But when the dominant is injured, the dormant one can take over. So it's true, we have got two brains. Each one of us has got two brains, and this one of the miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us that way. So if one is injured, the other can take over the function.
MashaAllah. Thank you very much, Prof, for your great sharing today and wonderful knowledge. Inshallah, I hope all the participants can grab all the knowledge and apply in their daily life.
Now, I want to end with something that's very important, not as part of the lecture, but as part of your own life. There is the concept of lifespan. Lifespan means ajal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created ajal. When it is time to die, you die. You cannot extend your time. It's fixed. Al-ajalu musamma. The ajal is fixed from before you were born. You will live 71 years, you will live 50 years, you will live 10 years. And this under Allah's control. We cannot change the ajal. But there is something else called health span. How much of that time can you stay when you are healthy? And this is the whole purpose of medicine. We know that Allah, for example, may be planned for you 90 years. But of those 90 years, you can spend 80 in good health. You can spend 85 in good health. You can spend 90 in good health. Now the health span, remember, don't confuse the two. The health span is not the same as the lifespan. The health span is partially under human control. You can control that. The food that you eat, if you eat too much food, if you eat the wrong type of food, if you exercise, if you take care to get treatment for your diseases, if you make ibadah, if your mind is calm because you trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can have a longer health span than someone who is not doing those things. So please remember, the lifespan is fixed, but the health span is partially under your control. And that's the whole purpose of medicine, to make the health span as long as possible, to make you healthy as long as possible, until the time comes and Allah takes you.
MashaAllah, thank you very much for your last like this, Prof. The last knowledge that you share with us, inshallah. Thank you very much. We will apply it in our daily life. May Allah grant you with the Jannatul Firdaus, Prof. Thank you very much. And see you in next week, Prof.
Thank you very much, Prof. Omar. Inshallah.
Yes.
You are still in Istanbul. It is
Yeah, I'm in
Fajar
Istanbul.
now. After Fajar.
In Istanbul. I didn't hear the adhan yet.
It's not
I'm
there.
in a hotel, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to check on the watch.
So
Problem is, I think I want to repeat this. All the time I have a lecture with you, I'm traveling. So I don't have the technical support of my office. Hotels, and sometimes the internet is not working, and I was in Africa the last two lectures and the internet was not working very well, so things got messed up, but I'm sorry for that. But this is part of our job. We have to travel for da'wah, and sometimes we are where we do not have the usual technical support like I have in Riyadh.
I hope the participant can understand, Prof. Omar. He's traveling all the time, so Sometimes it might be a little bit late. This is very early in the morning when it started at 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. Malaysian time. Over there, 4 a.m. is it?
Yeah, 4 a.m. Yeah.
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 So I'm so sorry, Brother Saya. We have to take 15 minutes of your time because Prof. Omar was not able to come in early. Yeah. So thank you, Prof. Inshallah. See you again next week, inshallah. Yeah.
Okay, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Dr. Shaaya.
Yes, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The was a little bit slow, Prof. Doctor.
Maybe intro before. Sorry. Hello.
Alhamdulillah. Doctor, how are you?
Actually, I'm not feeling well today. I'm having cough and also fever. And I said yesterday, but since I promised Professor Jamal, even I'm sick also, I will be online.
Jazakallah. Ya Allah rewards you, inshallah.
Yeah, actually, I
Make it easy for you, inshallah.
Excuse me. Yeah. So we.
Okay.
Okay. I think.
I think I want to explain a little bit for our participant. Inshallah, today we will learn with Dr. Shaaya about different from the previous. He taught about what they call is the. We have learned with him the Quran and Management, and today we will learn with him about the application of Islamic management in hospitality industry. Inshallah, we will grab all the what he have taught today from the knowledge that he have taught today. Inshallah, without further ado, because we have already delayed the time. Falyatafaddal ma'jura, Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I think today's discussion on the first parts, I think it's better that we refresh our memory what we have learned for last part 1 and part 2. The reason, according to research institution, those who listen to lectures, after leaving the lectures, only 5% will be retained in their minds. Get this research. So it's good that we, on this first part, we refresh our mind, what we have learned, and so we can proceed the second step, how we're going to apply this knowledge, what we have learned. Maybe it's good for those who didn't attend the first part of lectures, first part and second part. For those who have attended that, could be refreshed, and then at the end of these lectures, maybe on 15 minutes, we open for discussion. I think there are so many questions from my blog that how are we going to apply in the area of, for example, one student asked me how going to apply in the, what do you call this, healthcare or the health service. Maybe this sort of question is good for us to discuss. So we leave 15 minutes later on at the end of these lectures. We are going to, before we go to proceed on example, how we apply in hospitality industry. So maybe I look into the slide. Excuse me. Where is the, how do you go to the slide? Eh? Share the slides. There's nothing here. There is no what? There's no menu that to click to share the slide. Sorry.
That in.
Well, nothing here. Not in down cursor, not in the top. How do you go about it? Okay, now I get it out. Okay. Okay. According, the topic of discussion today is application of Islamic management in hospitality industry. As I had mentioned earlier just now, that before we going to apply our knowledge of Islam, you're going to call this Islam as to integrate the management process, we call it Islamic management. We must understand what is Islam about. Understand means we must have understand. We should be able to capsulize what is Islam, and then later on, after we capsulize it, we believe into it, then we can go further. And second, we understand Islamic management. And of course, the step is to understand the chosen industry. If we want to look into industry, we must look in total industry scenario. Therefore, we choose certain parts of it. Just for example, in the hospitality industry, there's so many value chain which we discuss later in the industry. For example, accommodation, travels, what do you call the other one is leisure, and so on. So we choose to start with one portion or one subset of the industry value chain. Then we go step by step. We'll show how we start our hospitality industry in Malaysia when we introduce Islamic quality standard for this industry. Okay, just to recall, you see, it's very simple. We must understand that some people misunderstood, not to misunderstood. I do not know, maybe they don't have the faith. So Allah has mentioned in the Quran, Al-Imran 3:19, that the chosen religion or the chosen lifestyle or the only way of life name chosen is Islam. Allah named it in the Din al-Islam. And in other Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah said, I have perfected your way of life, and I've completed it, and I have chosen it, and I have a favor upon you. So what I'm trying to say is, Islam is not the way of life. It's the way of life that is chosen by Allah. It is complete. It's perfect, as we have discussed earlier. It's perfect. So that means if we understand this basic principle that Quran, Islam is the way of life, Islam is only perfected by Allah, has been written in the Quran and practiced by Sunnah. Whatever we do, we have to go back to Quran and Sunnah before we formulate a certain system or certain standard. Just as you know, Islamic finance, they started from one verse that haram, riba is haram. Therefore, the system grows into many areas of Islamic finance, Islamic banking, Islamic insurance, Islamic bond, and so on. It is important because it's complete way of life. As what Professor Omar just said, it's lifestyle. People are not talking of lifestyle. Lifestyle in the social, lifestyle in the economy. This is lifestyle in management and so on. So again, Allah has do a favor by giving us a Quran as a guidance. And also Allah has given us a Quran as a mother of all knowledge. Allah, Kitab. That means Allah said this is a mother of knowledge. That means whatever knowledge we're going to start, we're going to implement, therefore refer to the Quran first. It's good for the student, I already mentioned, for doing masters and PhD. Please start with the Quran and Sunnah and see in what area that we're going to implement it, to apply in our way of life. There are many, yeah. So this is what I like to recall, just recall in the sense that you look at this, when Professor Omar said, the left brain and the right brain. When the left brain, why I like to do these charts, when the left brain will read all this information, but the right brain will take a pictorial of this image. And we remember well, assuming that we look at this chart for a few minutes, and we close our eyes, for the next day tomorrow, we will remember the whole spectrum of Sharia, from definition to categories, from markets of Sharia to from source. So when we're able to capsulize this in our brain, therefore easy for us to go another step. How are we going to apply the principle of Sharia or Islam? For example, you can see the categories of Sharia is consisting of all human activities, isn't it? From worship to family laws, to commercial laws, to political laws, to state laws, and everything. So the objective is, so this is very important to me. We have to remember in whatever we do, our strategy, long-term strategy, is this Maqasid al-Sharia. We're going to apply for hospitality industry, we choose this as well. And whatever we want to do in our activities, we can choose from here: commerce, political laws, commercial laws, state laws, and so on. Yeah. So this we can see the whole thing. And remember, the source is Qur'an and Sunnah. Okay. Just to remember, management is simple, but many does not apply, even in our daily life. We can ask ourselves how we manage our family. It's simple. Everything, plan, organizing, leading, structurally control our families, relating to our own family, our children, our relatives, and also how much we manage our asset, how much we manage our finance, time, and info. I think if to be frank with you, inclusive myself as well, we lack in terms of even planning ourselves, family unit. If we run an organization, I see that I didn't know. Sometimes when I run a company, I see my managers, they don't understand this basic information here and manage the resources. You see, they don't have plan. Just as simple, if you ask yourself, your company or your university, you have a financial plan? Do you have an organizational plan? Do you have the manpower plan? Do you have some sort of control in the organization? I think there are so many things need to be done. It's very simple, but yet big ignored. Okay. When we think about planning, we integrate the Sharia together with this function. Okay. I mean, becoming Islamic management, Islam or Sharia management, Islamic thinking. When we talk Islamic thinking, we focus our mind nothing but Islamic principle. When we talk of planning, we have corporate planning, achieving Maqasid al-Sharia. And other planning, tactical planning, is to achieve the Maqasid al-Sharia, corporate planning. And we have organization. You must structure organization. You must choose the leaders to lead the organization. You must plan. In a sense, for organizing the organization, for example, manpower, we never plan our successors. We are not going to live forever. We should have planned who's going to lead the organization in the future when we're not around. This is very important. The best managers, the best leaders is able to train their successors, to take over their leadership when they're not around, to take over their management. That is important. This is basically, I mean, very, not say there's no such thing, but it's very weak among other Muslim institutions. If you look at the multinational institution, they're well-planned organization, they have well-planned manpower, they have manpower mapping for the staff, they have motivation, they have long-term planning, they have short-term planning, even though they don't put the element of Islam. But we as a Muslim, we could add values to this. We're going to talk about later. Okay. Even in this little thing, okay, when we talk this, when I teach my student about planning, organizing, leading, I teach Sharia student as well as Quranic student. I mean, they specialize in Quran. Then they ask me, how could I plan? I am specialized in Quran. I said, you can do long-term planning. What are you going to teach Quran to the school? How are you going to do it? You can do online, and financially you can get some money from online. You can organize things. You can establish an institution, a Quranic institution. But it's a small way. Yes, Alhamdulillah, one of the students managed to organize these sort of things, and they have put online. They have established an institution. He's just a Quranic student, and one imam of mosque is a Sharia, is a Usuluddin. When we open a discussion about this, then he realized that the mosque need to be a proper planning. They should have been a proper long-term planning, short-term planning. They should have proper organization to run the mosque. They should have proper manpower to train. They should have some sort of control. This is basic running a masjid or mosque. Even though it's small, and how to get money, to get general income. They get income. Well, one mosque, I remember they have a restaurant, they have homestay in a mosque to generate income. This sort of thing, not to be created, not to understand, because they understand this concept. If you understand it, you can do it. Yes. This is, of course, all management system. When I do this, just for easy for us to understand, actually, for all of you, if you can take a picture of this metric, you can see it's very simple. On the left is activities of management. Here is resources. So I will show you, we take one portion of it, we can do a lot of things. For example, we talk human thinking, planning, human resources, and so on. When we talk of all organization and a nation, we have to do everything like this. Okay. It is sometimes, it is not, we don't wait for directive from the top. When we are managers, for example, my experience, we don't wait for directive from a boss, but we can plan ourselves in our own small way, our own department, our own unit, and we can suggest it to the boss, convince the boss. They will be happy to see that the planning is done, and Islamic planning is a value add to the planning process, and they have a long-term objective of Maqasid al-Sharia. It's just a protection of human existence. It's positive. Protection of religion, Islam, is positive. Protection of human generation, I mean offspring, it's all positive. It's all good here. Nothing bad about it. So they will see it. Even the non-Muslim will appreciate that. So protection of human existence, protect religion, Islam. I remember that one of the multinational non-Muslim company, I said that we need a mosque in the building. The building is very expensive. He said, but we need that for human development. And he provide a prayer room, I think much better than any of the airports, because he understands that prayer is part of human development. and yeah, for the protection of religion, offspring, and increased productivity. Okay. So, at 10 minutes, because 10:30 we start late. The next 10:30 after we rest, we go to application of science management hospital industry. So meanwhile, I think that we have to open discussion. I mean, if you do it, because we have a little discussion in the previous lectures, time. So here maybe you have any things to ask relating to management, Islamic management, you can put forward. Yeah. Okay, before we start, after the break, 10:30, this one. No, your
Doctor, I think we have the question on the chat box.
Sorry?
Here the question on the chat box.
On the box, we have to go to see the box, yeah.
Yeah.
To the box, yeah. How to go about it. Slides, okay. Okay, yeah. There's one question on how petty is pain? Can you, how petty, what is this? You talk about right and left brain, please explain more. That is Professor Omar, isn't it? When we talk of, when application, of brain, right brain and left brain.
I think from Mahmoud Yaqub.
Yeah.
Failure to plan amounts to plan to fail. Please note.
Where is that?
The last question.
Salam alaikum. We failure to plan amounts to plan to fail. Please note. Yeah, we fail to plan. We fail to plan and we never plan to fail. You see, when we don't do anything, we don't plan. Of course, that is we fail to plan. But normally, when you talk planning, management process is a process. When you talk of process, it's a continuous. We plan, we structure organization as what chief of plan. We organize it, we lead it, we control it to see how our plan is being achieved. That's called control. And then if there is some area need to be improved, it's going on again. Refine planning, refine organization structure, refine our motivation, human resources, refine our control. So remember that planning, management is a process. It's not static. Yeah, that's why I always explain. Management is a work process. It is dynamic. It is on and on for improvement. Yeah, it's not static. Okay. Any other thing?
To all participants, if any one of you want to have the question, you can raise your hand.
It's important also when you structure your plan or structure what you're going to do, and it is important that you use both brain, left and right brain. The right brain is taking pictures of what you do. You can remember, you see, I did some book on this. Yeah, this one mapping, mind pictures and metrics for the student. When the student, when they read it, they transform it into map or metrics, they're able to understand, remember better, and they can even apply better when they understand the whole structure, they can apply it. For example, you see planning just now. Yeah. This planning. When you understand this, yeah, very simple structure, isn't it? When you structure, you put in this metric form, and pictorial form, you're able to see the relationship between human thinking, planning, organizing, and control as far as human resources are concerned. You can also understand how you're going to think financially. I mean, when you're thinking of financial separation, the all financial resources, borrowing, and future should be in accordance to Islam. So then we talk of planning financially, of course, you're planning a cash flow ahead. It should be free of riba, and your cash flow should include zakat as well, you see, because Islamic. And then organizing, you form organization, you elect a leader or managers who are Muslim so that you're able to lead, you see, and also leading, motivation, and controlling. So this, and then time. You have time frame. For example, it's your team. What is your time frame for corporate strategy? Are you going to achieve it 10 years, 20 years, and tactical strategy to achieve the corporate strategy within how many years? You put on time it. See, this simple thing, you should plan. This is time is very important achievement. That is called time frame. Anything without time frame, you cannot see the future. You see, these many institutions fail to look into this time and finance time frame. And when we talk of the information is very important. That's why we should have a computers, data analysis that we're able to use this data information. Now it'll be easy for you, digital information, you're able to analyze it and you're able to do some projection. You see, okay, physical asset. And these are physical asset management. Also, many I see institutions, they don't properly manage the asset. I know I've been observing that. Sorry to say, in the Islamic institutions where we talk of that we should not be waste our resources. But we waste our resources in terms of physical utilization of space, utilization of land. When I see that one institution is a foundation, they use a very big space for their own top management. You see, so you see when you using bigger space, you are wasting public fund. You see, I remember when I worked with a big multinational company, they have a small, the CEO is the owner of multi-billion dollars, they have very small rooms, just easy for them to manage, and they have small meeting room. But when I went to other, with due respect, there's many institutions, there's so huge waste of space. After all, this institution is walk-off institution, is foundation. So this is basic planning. If you think, plan, the Islamic way, you'll be able to be more positive. Okay? Any other question? Any questions?
We have the question from Rafiu.
Yes.
He said that what can you advise about ways to manage food waste during Ramadan iftar?
What can, any written question there? What
can you advise about way to manage food waste during Ramadan iftar?
To Ramadan iftar.
Food wastage during Ramadan iftar.
To what? Sorry.
Wastage.
Oh, yeah. Okay. When we see Ramadan time, when we come to wastage, human being need to be reminded all the time in the form of advice, in the form of notice. That's why you can see on the road also there's notice, stop, and so on. Beware of children, because it's to remind. So during Ramadan, they should put a notice to me. They should advise, if it is so sensitive to advise, put a big notice to say that, wala tushriku, do not waste, isn't it? Kulu washrabu min zikrillah wala tushriku. They put a notice. When I did an experiment in the hotel, every table, because as you know that in the Middle East people are eating abundant, you know? They put everything on the table, and then after that, according to the hotel, they cannot use it because what is on the table they have to destroy it. So every table we put a note there. وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا وَاشْرَبُوا بِذِكْرِ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا. You can eat, you can drink, but please do not waste. It's written in Arabic, in Quran, it's already put in translation accordingly. So it seems that every table having that sort of notice, in addition to big notice on the wall, it is effective. Because I observed that when the parent is taking too much food, the children, the son will say, Daddy, look at that, Papa, look at that, Abi. This one to shripu, don't waste. So this is a reminder for all of us. It is human nature, but we have to remind by giving notice, by giving advice continuously. Even another one is a toilet, masjid toilet. You have to put some notice. Cleanliness is important. This cleanliness is part of faith. You see, Hadith saying that. So you have to put somewhere for people to read and reminder. So this is basic human nature. They need to be reminded. As you know that we have children, as we have families, we have to remind. So as far as Ramadan is concerned, I think I don't see any sign whatsoever at the dining hall, and also asking people, reminding people they can eat, they can drink, but do not waste. So my suggestion is that put this onto the table. They will remind each other on this after they read the small notice on the table. I did that experiment. It works. Yeah. You don't believe me, brother? When it comes in Ramadan, put some small reminder, Kulu washrabu min zikrillah, put on the table, and you can see that each one of them will remind each other, do not waste. Okay, that's waiting to waste, okay? Okay? Shall we stop continue in 5 minutes?
Yeah, we can take a break because you are not feeling well.
Yeah.
So we can break for 20 minutes maybe.
Okay, we come back.
Your time will be finishing about 11:45 for the next session.
So the next lecture is from 11 to 11:45, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, we stop here unless I can take a rest, a few of my cough. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. And we meet again at 11. Dr. Jamal.
Waalaikumsalam ya, saya.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm always ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can proceed.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Now we look at the slides, yeah? Which slide is it? Okay. So here is the application of Islamic management in hospitality industry. Earlier, when we take step 5 step, first step is understanding the what we call Islam, and then Quran, and then Sharia, and then management. The second step is that we must understand what is Islamic management. We have discussed that this morning. And now, after understanding this, we try to apply in reality. This is my own experience of applying to the hospitality industry. Maybe I could share to you with you. First, let us see the scenario. Before we look into the industry, we must look at the scenario of the industry. What are the problems areas that worth or rather to take what we call Islamic in the sense that Islamic way that could improve the industry. So when we look at the industry, tourism industry, or we can say hospitality industry, hospitality is, I think, is the same. Is a difference. The American always like to different than the British. So hospitality is in America, the term is tourism, and British is tourism. So whatever it is the same term. So sometimes I use hospitality industry, some I think tourism industry, they are the same. So we look at this industry. This industry, so you can look at the World Trade Council, the tourism industry in year 2009, that means 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, estimate about $5 billion US dollars. That means it's very huge amount of money in this area where the tourism spend their money. I think now, if not mistaken, it has reached $1 trillion US dollars. And then you can see that economy activity is about 10% of global GDP. It's very huge. And then it employs about over 1 million people worldwide. And 8% of global employment. They could be higher than today. Maybe dropped during the COVID-19, but it has picked it up. The United Nations Organization about Tourism in 2020, they make what they call, as mentioned just now, the travel will expected to double 1.8 billion by 2020. 1.8 billion, double the amount. And then we can see, okay, now look at the industry, it's a very huge industry. Now look at the global Muslim tourists. These global Muslim tourists exclude the religious tourists. I mean, exclude those who go to Umrah, those who go to Mecca. Yeah, this amount. So you can see the global Muslim tourist expenditure spend. Yeah, you can see that it's projected to 2020 is about 192 billion. Yeah, it's quite huge amount. The money spent to increase tremendously. About 13% of global tourism expenditure is a Muslim. Very huge in the sense that it travels to Muslim country. And we can also see these are the before that we call it legacy, how we can assist in improving this Muslim tourist spend, and also how we could also provide alternative to non-Muslim as well in terms of Sharia. We call it nowadays, it's quite popular, they call it Islamic tourism. Yeah, we do in Malaysia, they have Islamic tourism center. Before they want to have Islamic friendlies, but I think friendly is not really what I call it complete. When we talk of Islamic, it's complete. In the sense of Islamic principle from A to Z need to be adhered to. Okay, so after understanding this industry, we have to look into the value chain here. Any industry, any business, there are value chain. Suppose that if you are in the health industry, there are value chain of activities of the health industry. You need to look in totality first, yes, before you want to implement it. So here I give you an example of the global value chain of the hospitality industry. You can see from here, outbound country, they have the distribution, they have travel agent, the tour operators, they have independent activities, they have international transport and so on. These are outbound. Inbound the country, they have a distribution also. Regional transport, you must have lodging. I mean, in your country, if you are receiving tourists, you must have lodging. Luxury hotel, large hotel or small hotel, you may call it homestay. So these are the value chain of the global hospitality industry. So if you want to change it, you look in totality. So we implant, we look in totality, we have the vision to implant Maqasid al-Sharia strategy. When I use the word implant, mean we take from the Quran and implant it, not to study whether it is suitable, this Maqasid al-Sharia is suitable. That is normal strategic formulation. If you're in the company, they will ask you to study the environment, external environment, internal environment, then they formulate a long-term strategy. But in Islam, you implant the Maqasid al-Sharia. This is the revealed knowledge from Allah. Meant to say, when you have this implanted in the value chain, whatever you do in these activities in the value chain, you must toward achieving the Maqasid al-Sharia. And other strategy inside this value chain activities, we call it tactical strategy. Tactical strategy means you have to formulate, you have to study the internal environment, external environment, in order to achieve Maqasid al-Sharia strategy. This is different in Islam. It's just like haram, riba is haram. We're not going to say whether riba is haram is suitable for the country. No, we devise a system of banking, Islamic bond, insurance, in conformation to Islamic principle of free of riba. Okay? This is what I mean. We implant the principle. So, Maqasid al-Sharia is, as I didn't want to mention again, as you know, protection of religion, protection of human life, protection of intellect, protection of offspring, and protection of resources. These are the ultimate corporate objective. And the rest is tactical strategy, how to overcome it. Okay. Here we can do everything what we want to do. But if you are expert in certain areas, you can start with the one area. Maybe we are starting with lodging. I mean, hotel standard, Islamic standard, luxury hotel, large hotel, small hotel. After establish this standard Islamic principle, we are moving toward other activities. For example, travel agent, we'll explain to you later, restaurant, tours, and so on. Okay, this step by step. So now you look at this. We always refer to this matrix of management, Islamic management, easy for you to understand. Because if you read book, you have to make a structure in which it's easy to implement. But this is a structure I have created metric, easy for you or easy for the student, easy for the professional to implement what do you call that, Islamic management. So we can see, take one area of planning human activities, thinking from a task force committee. That means for human is to start with, we need to form a committee. What I did before, I formed a committee from the industry, from the government, and we take the initiative. Don't wait for the government. You take initiative, call them for a meeting. If you don't attend the meeting, no problem. You can go ahead with yourself. This we don't. We are working within the rules and regulations. Recall how this ISO, International Standard Operating ISO 9000 and so on, yeah, it started before the war. It started with 2%, 2 engineers from home. Now ISO is widely accepted all over the world. Another thing is, what do you call that, hotel management system. It started from Michelin brothers, Tigers brothers. They work together to form certain standards so that they are able to help those who use the tire to go into this hotel. So you see, they started that way. So never mind, we start in a small way, but let it be on. So thinking, planning, maqasid as-Shaaya strategy, we must be properly defined, understand maqasid as-Shaaya is our corporate strategy. Everybody must understand it. And now we are trying to do technical strategy, all activities in order to achieve the maqasid as-Shaaya strategy. Okay, so how will we start? Excuse me. So we have to organize ourselves. These activities of planning, management, yeah, thinking, because of human planning, finance, I'm taking one portion of it. We organize committee to bring all the human in the industry and so on. And then we plan to have maqasid as-Shaaya to inform everybody this is our strategy. And then we organize, we establish a center. When we establish a center, nobody want the center to be established. The government is not, at the time, it's not very helpful, but it doesn't mean that we should stop that way. We can proceed our own way. We establish a company, a center, which is NGO, non-profitable center. We call it Universal Guidance Standard. Yeah. And then after that, we lead. We appoint respected chairman. I mean, we appointed one Sharia chairman, ex-chairman Maqasid Sharia Council chairman as a chairman. We also appoint Professor Dato Jamal, who's our technical advisor. And this is leading. We're able to lead, we're able to get advice, and we form a company center. And then we establish a standard quality, IQS we call it, Islamic Quality Standard. We start with hotel. We devise with the help of one university, then get the student, the professor, look at it, look at the standard of the 5-star hotel in Europe, how they devise a standard, and how could we integrate Islamic principle in their standard. It's very simple because they have established a standard, but the standard nothing to do with what you call with God. So we look at it. There's a certain standard structure, for example, the cleanliness, the design of the hotel, we devise, change it accordingly, and so on. The size of the room, and so on. And we put the elements, the swimming pool have to be we don't call segregation of Islamic food among women. We use a nice word. We have exclusive swimming pool for women, you see. We have exclusive swimming pool for the family. So we use that word, you see. And one Japanese hotel, they say that we want to follow Islamic quality standard, but we have one swimming pool. We cannot build another swimming pool. It's very expensive. No problem, I said. You have time. We have time allocated for women, men, and family. You see? You have that sort of time. And for women, you can cover the swimming pool indoors. Very simple. Use the mobiles, what do you call it, covers, and it is automatic. It covers for women. Very simple. So it doesn't cost you much. And they follow. You see, everything is possible if we make things easier, and everybody wants it. You see, and no alcohol and so on. Of course, Islamic quality standard, no alcohol, all food haram. You see, all this, we have the standard written, and we, these are the standard, yeah. We call it Islamic quality standard. We formulate it, and these are the certificate. Yeah, these are the organization. So this organization produced the standard, produced the certificate. It doesn't matter whether the certificate is recognized or not. The most important element of tourism industry is to assist tourists. Where are the Islamic hotel? Where are the Islamic accommodation they can show of this, not in halal, but it is conducive in Islamic, following Islamic principle. So they see that we have 7 crescent, just like hotel, 7-star, 5-star, 4-star. It depends on the what they call the facilities provided. See, this is what we do. And also, we look beyond, actually. We're not looking into the, as I mentioned, when hotel is successful, is acceptable by the Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Turkey, and also in Dubai, you see, then we expand to other areas, restaurant, travel agent, recreational center, transportation, and so on. The other one we are yet to go into is production, to have IQS food manufacturing, IQS food farming, and so on. So this area we have gone, agent, restaurant, recreational center, and so on. We have the standard, we have the certificate. Okay. So in order to expand, to share our knowledge and experience to other country, we appoint representative. Representative, it doesn't matter, volunteers, and the representative, it's just matter of giving education, informing the hotel. There are available standard that they can follow, which is Islamic quality standard. For example, in Korea, they're more interested. And then, for example, in Malaysia, we have ordered. In Thailand, in Japan, we appointed the representative. We appointed Turkey, we have ordered, and so on. So this, having a representative in this area, we plant the seed. The most important is make sure we do something. It doesn't mean you're going to successful immediately, but the seed will grow in the future. Awareness, what I call this, courses, and so on. See? So this is what we have worked it out. Okay, so lodging, we have done this, Islamic quality standard. We have done for luxury hotel, we have done for small hotel, we have done for small, homestay and so on. This is covered. It is quite successful. These are giving you the idea, just giving some pictures, what is supposed to be follow in the hotel. I mean, hotel, financial through Islamic financial management, non-alcohol, halal food, Quran prayer, mats available in every room, larger function room for male and female. Signature, this what do you call that? Direction of Makkah in every room, and so on. So these are basic, but in this IQS, it is written the standard for 7-star, 5-star, 6-star, and so on. And we have made that the 7-star, 7 crescent, is basically, it must be the hotel or the institution or the company must be owned by Muslims. That is because we have to make sure when the 5 crescent, 4 crescent is be open to non-Muslim also, as long as they follow the principle of Islam, and we award the certificate. And now we go beyond. We have gone into upgrading for operator segment. We have given local tour operator, national tour operator. We have devised IQS for travel agent. You see, so that means when we devise travel agent, we make sure the travel agent will take the tourists into areas of Islamic environment. They're not going to take them for nightclub and so on. These are the principles that we have, and the way that they interact with the customer follow Islamic way. Okay. And we launched it in 2012, December 2002. It happened that Mahathir is there. We invited him as a keynote address. As we launched it, it attended, the conference attended by 2,000 different people from other countries. And officially, this first conference, this is the launching of the IQS standard, approved by the government. We make use of the government to support us. It doesn't matter which government. The government of the day at the time is Minister Dato' Sri Jamal here. We are non-political affiliate. We are independent. We just support the government of the day. So this is what. And then we have awarded this certificate all over the world, as I mentioned earlier. We have awarded it in Indonesia, Thailand, Turkey, and Dubai. These are Dubai, one of the biggest hotel operator. You see, these are from Indonesia, I think. Yeah, so this is an example. And these are the list of 2016. We have given many hotels, and travel agent as well. Let's say application Islamic standard, as I have mentioned earlier, we go beyond hotel. We've gone to tourism, travel tours. These are travel tours. We given the Muslim travel tours. You see, we have given the IQS 5, IQS 4, IQS 3, IQS 2. It doesn't matter if they're small travel agents, we give them IQS 2 crescent, so they will grow further up. And we also go into the country to see whether this effort is to encourage the organization, the country, toward Islamic tourism, having what do you call it, facilities, having what do you call it, environment conducive to Muslim and in confirmation with Islamic principle. We look at Aceh from Indonesia, we award them. Look at Terengganu State, we award them as well. This is encourage them to what Islamic environment, what we call it Muslim-friendly destinations, just to motivate them. It doesn't matter, our certificate is not recognized, it doesn't matter, but we award them. Here we award this Chief Minister of Terengganu. We award them. It doesn't matter, we are nothing here. I'm showing you this picture now. I'm trying to show myself. I'm trying to show the possibility of doing things yourself, you see. And these are the special award for Islamic quality standard about Muslim friendly. They are happy to receive that. Yeah, even though we are nothing, but they are happy to receive that. And these we go beyond. We are giving to supermarket. These are the supermarket, global supermarket. This is the CEO of the global supermarket. This we director of Islamic Center Malaysia, Islamic Center Tourism. We invited them to participate to give the award, even though this is a award, but we make a family approach to the government so that they participate. So this guy received the restaurant, the supermarket of the Islamic supermarket selling halal food. You can see that this, I think last 2 years, we have the conference, we have awarded to all the restaurants and supermarket and so on. They're happy to receive it. Yeah. And also, we award, special award to Islamic media and communication. We call it TV Al-Hijrah Malaysia. They came, we invited them, they received. They're happy to. It's very interesting in order to motivate them. Okay, so that's all. I think we have covered how we able to participate, to implement Islamic tourism, Islamic tourism industry, introducing Islamic management into the whole value chain of the global tourism industry. Slowly, and it doesn't matter that it's accepted by the government or not, but the most important is the industry accepted it, and now the government accepted it and try to follow our standard. So we share our standard with them. We are not keeping the standard for ourselves. The more people using the standard, the better it is. Okay. In terms of financial support, we get some sponsors from the hotel to launch the event. And then each certificate, they contribute some fee so that we're able to sustain. So that is how we're able to sustain, even though in sometime it is it's not sufficient, but Alhamdulillah, we're able to move ahead. Okay, thank you very much. Any question? We have 15-minute question. Sorry for me talking.
Yeah, Doctor, we have a question on the chat box, but it's good if the participant can raise your hand. You can direct a question.
We have 15 minutes, isn't it?
Yes.
So we look through the what?
Brother Rafiu, you want to direct question?
A question, and what is the relationship? This is Brother Rafiu Shawul. What, may Allah bless him. My question is, what is the relationship between IQS and Malaysia Halal Standard and Halal Certificate? Okay, that's a good question. When we talk of halal, halal is halal standard in Malaysia focus basically on food, you see, restaurant food, and also now they go to cosmetic and other area of products for the use of the Muslim. But the relationship with an IQS, assuming that we're going to award IQS for the hotel, all the system of restaurant, they should follow halal standard, halal certificate. Without halal certificate from the Malaysia halal standard, we are not going to award them. That is a prerequisite. They must have halal for food. Secondly, all the other element in the hotel, you soap, yeah, you see shampoos and so on, should also, there must be halal certificate there. If we find that there's no halal at the soap using, then we're not giving to the certificate of IQS. So IQS basically follow or rather take into consideration of Malaysian halal standard in terms of food and production of other areas like soap, cosmetic, and so on, which is used in the hotel or in other restaurants. Okay, that is how. I hope you answer your question. They said here, break fasting. Most cases in some countries, food supply to the mosque are usually more than needed to break fasting, and many takes more than they can finish, and remaining are usually waste. However, in some other parts of the world, Muslim don't even have enough for the sahur. And yeah, that's true. That we have to do some education among our Muslim brothers about the situation in the countries where food is a problem and other areas they are poor. Okay. We advise about ways to manage food wastage. We are talking about food wastage. Well,
previous one.
Yeah.
That is the previous one. You already answered.
Okay. There's one question on IQS. There's one participant. They asked in my blog, how are we going to implement? He is in the health care industry. I'm not sure healthcare industry or health services. So whatever it is, as example given to you, we must first you already understand what Islamic management, what Islamic what do you call that, process and so on. Now is for the second step, third step, you have to understand the scenario of the whole value chain of the activities of the healthcare. For example, it's important. For example, in the healthcare, I do not know in healthcare what I observe in healthcare, in medical healthcare, they have hospital, they have what do you call it? They use that as a medical tourism. Is it? Medical tourism means somebody can come to Malaysia and then get their medical treatment, as well as they get what do you call it? Tourist activities. I mean, they can go around visiting other places while their client or their parents or other on treatment and so on, or that they can do both. So this is another good area where healthcare is good. The other thing, we have to add elements of Islamic tourism. That could be done by having Islamic travel agent, IQS. This travel agent will takes a client from, say, Indonesia, and then bring in here to bring to hospital. There's so many in Malaysia hospital which is follow the Islamic principle, and then at the same time they can take around the families or the patients to other environmental Islamic what do you call it, friendly environment. This one is Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rashid Cap Malik Uganda. Why is this? Yes, Rashida. Participant, you have any question, please raise your hand.
Yeah, we have Sister Wafa. If you have, if you want to asking, you can raise your hand, Sister Wafa, and also Sister Rashida. I think Wafa is a woman. Sorry if I'm calling wrong.
You can talk, you can
Yeah.
express your opinion. You can express your question. Maybe you can add your experience, which is useful for the discussion. Yeah.
She asking the message is direct to me. She said that is the list of this Islamic hotel in PowerPoint present to all Islamic hotel. The question.
Sorry? Yes.
She asked, is the list of the Islamic hotel in PowerPoint present for all Islamic hotel?
I don't understand the question. Sorry.
I think she want to ask that all the Islamic hotel have that facilities. I think it's like that maybe. Sister Wafa, you can open, you can raise your hand so that I can open your mic for you.
I think it was, yeah, still another 10 minutes. What I understand from the question is that if the hotel, you see, is not say that it's a normal hotel, conventional hotel, they want to have Islamic quality standard certificate. We do some audit and they have to follow all the requirements in the IQS standard. I mean, they have to do it. They have to, for example, food must be halal, products used for other in hotels should be strictly halal and have halal certificate. They shouldn't have any mix. They should have exclusive time or place for human or swimming pool for men and women. And they have a mosque for people, musalla, to pray, and all other things they should conform. Just to give you an example, I mentioned to you one Japanese company. It's a Japanese company. They want to follow us system. They say very good. So one of the cook came forward to general manager, mentioned that this venue cannot be, we cannot, we cannot get rid of pork. I mean, this menu, this type of this. So the general manager take out in the menu. You cannot be free from non-halal product. Take out from the menu to the extent. So they understand very well. And I asked the Japanese tourists who stay in the hotel, why you like to stay in a hotel? Because you can have safe for the family. and then you cannot drink alcohol. Oh, he said, why should we drink alcohol in a hotel? Normally we just go out among businessmen outside from hotel among ourselves. You see, there's no reason that we should worry unnecessarily. They adopt the situation. I remember one hotel in Langkawi. Langkawi is the island. Said this hotel having a microphone speaker to indicate the time for azan. Azan Zuhur they put on the speaker all over the hotel. So I asked the Chinese, what is are you disturbing this? No, it's not disturbing. It's just okay. I can hear that. I know that this is time for prayer for Muslim, and I know that time is all that. It also reminds me of time. You see, they are positive in thinking. And the hotel is full of, the tourists. There's no problem. So here again, I think we cannot be defensive. As Allah mentioned in the Quran, Islam is the best system, and Allah has perfected it. We cannot be defensive. We can put across or apply it in a very good way. For example, swimming pool, we can exclusive swimming pool for women. I'm sure the woman would like to have exclusivity in having to suppose. This is important. Deep inside the heart, they will feel free. Okay? Another 5 minutes. You see that in this modern era, how do you see we can implement Islamic management in treating sick people by Islamic method? Like what is Tibun Hawi?
Tibbun Nawawi, Doctor. Tibbun Nawawi is the book of Imam An-Nawawi.
Using Islamic method, like I don't know about using method of Ibn Nawawi, but no, we know that modern era, we are Islamic is not modern. Islamic is timeless system standard created by Allah. I mean, it is ongoing forever. For example, you can see system of ibadat is there forever. System going to Hajj, you cannot amend this system. So Islam is very unique. It established a certain standard. They call it timeless, timeless, is it? Going on. So we cannot be apologetic, see that this is modern era. I consider the modern era is Jahiliyyah era to me. Yes, Jahiliyyah era, you can see they are drinking alcohol. People, they are engaged in gambling. Gambling is bringing, they call it bad impact to their society and family. Everything what Allah have a standard is good for mankind. I heard one article. It says that Islam transforming American society for betterment. You see, I mean, Islamic system is a principle by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. You see, why this is modern. I didn't always say that it's to due respect. I didn't say it's modern era. It is era which is we need to rectify it and we need to improve. You can see that in my earlier discussion, the world is going for grave catastrophe. For example, the environmental problem, yes, and then society problem. According to United Nations, every 10 seconds, study by 2012, one person die of alcoholism. In America, every 1 hour, 20 women being raped. In South Africa, every 4 seconds, 1 man is raped while being raped. And the highest rate cases per 100 is in Sweden, in all in the Western country. So, you see, Islamic itself, Maqasid al-Sharia is a standard for improvement of better man, humanistic era, we call it, not modern, a humanistic era. We're not human. We're destroying. Okay. That's my comment.
So thank you so much, Dr. Shaaya. I think you had a very good opportunity listening to Dr. Shaaya, who has been the group CEO of the first Islamic hotel in Turkey. As at that time we never heard about the Islamic hotel. So I first came to know about Islamic hotel when he came back and he was the group CEO of that hotel. I have stayed in that hotel for 4 days, 5 nights, and I could see how the Islamic hospitality was being implemented in that hotel. So maybe from A to Z. So all that has been mentioned in the speech by Dr. Shaaya. Inshallah, we will share the slide with all of you, and you can learn how Islamic hospitality can be implemented using the Islamic approach, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Shaaya.
Yeah, shukran. Sure.
Pass back to Sister Jaria.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yeah, most welcome.
Yeah. May Allah bless you, and you have a good house soon, Doctor. Sorry, Dr. Prof Yusuf not coming yet. Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yes,
Okay. How are you, Prof?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. You can share slide first, Prof.
Okay. Oh, sorry. What is it? Okay. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, now.
Okay, thank you.
Can it's make it bigger, Prof?
Okay, okay. Okay.
Okay, now see it. To all the participants, as usual, we have again meet with the lectures of Prof. Muhammad Yusuf Uthman in the subject of Al-Qur'an Physical Science. Falyatafaddal ma'jurah, Prof.
Yes. I made a mistake actually. Another slide, not that one. That one. Can you see my slide?
Yeah, sure. We see it.
SNT transferred to Medieval World Islam.
That's correct, Prof. That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Yusuf.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, Professor Dr. Jamal and also our our sister there. We are actually last week I didn't finish the lecture, but I'm going to continue with this information. We already discussed about science and technology before Islam, which is very, secular in nature, and as the effect, Socrates was put in trial, and then finally they found him guilty of contradicting the system of belief in the era. But how about Islam? So how this knowledge from Greek civilization and also Byzantine civilization go to Muslim era? So just a little note before that we know that the early Muslim scholars or Muslim people, they are very fanatic. They are very strong in Aqidah, in Sharia, as well as they are very good in manner. So they also held firm to the concept of jihad, and they were very disciplined in thinking and action. So that is the earlier Muslim scholars and also Muslim society. And when Muslim defeated Byzantium and Roman and Persian, so they gained a lot of knowledge of science and technology from those civilizations. And the issue now, how to bring the knowledge to the Islamic principle, to the Islamic era, because in Islam we don't separate between religious and science, and we are the only preachers in this world that try to bring back science and technology as well as other discipline of knowledge, come back into the mold of Islam. So this is what our brothers and sisters in the old days they did to the science and technology. So when during the Umayyad period, we know this is during the Damascus, during the Assyria, before Abbasid, all this science and technology they brought from the ancient civilization, particularly in the field of medical science. So they translate all the earlier knowledge of medical science into Arabic, because in Islam, as you know, there is one ayah in Al-Qur'an, I think in Surah Al-Mujadilah, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الدَّرَجَاتِ. God will rise the darajah, the darajah of these people who are faithful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the same time who have knowledge. So that's why people who has knowledge is also well respected by Muslim scholars. So that's why without Muslim scholar, some of the scholars mention that you will never know that Aristotle, Plato, Socrates exist, because of the Muslim scholar. They brought all their translation, all the work to the written in Arabic, and then the Muslim scholars comment it and give a very critical mind, and some of them introduce new and original science and technology. And during the Abbasid, this in particular, because during this era there was some scholars which is considered as Al-Ghazali considered is not they are Mu'tazilah group, which emphasizes importance of thinking rather than the Mohd Islam itself. So there are two sects of Muslim scholars in science and their particular. But the earlier Muslim scholars such as Jabir bin Hayyan, Al-Khwarizmi, we know that Jabir bin Hayyan was in the same class of Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So that, but Jabir bin Hayyan, he liked more to study on this chemistry. And finally, the word of chemistry come from his word, which is chemia, alchemia. So similarly, the terms alkali, alcohol, and some of the instrument like what they call it, the distillation instrument, also invented by Jabir bin Hayyan. So he contributed a lot of scientific things, scientific knowledge to the community. And after reading the work done by scholars before Islam. So Muslims were not only followers of Greek science, but they are also produce science from their own perspective. I just mentioned just now, giving a new interpretation. I mentioned about this man, Jabir bin Hayyan, 720, still earlier than Abbasid from 750. So he was a Sufi and the founder of chemistry or alchemia. And then Al-Khwarizmi, after that, also the most respected scholars until today. And the term algorithm come from his name, Al-Khwarizmi, algorithm. And he is also polymath, meaning that he has so many disciplines of knowledge. He masters so many disciplines of knowledge. He also philosophers, founder of number analysis, algorithm, algebra, arithmetic, geometry, trigonometry, and so on. So if you, as a mathematical student, you must know this guy. Meaning all this subject was introduced by him. So Ibn Haytham in 965, he also polymath, but was born in Basra. But he didn't go to Baghdad because Baghdad established Baitul Hikmah in 786, about nearly 100 years before Ibn Haytham. But he didn't go to that place in order to get knowledge from scientists. But he went to Egypt, and finally he passed away in Egypt. During that period, he invents a lot of scientific things, such as camera, such as how our eyes function, and he also done some geometry in order to describe how our eyes function, and he has to draw this concept of geometry. And he also a physicist, and he also become the advisor to Al-Hakim in the beginning. Then after Nile River was flooded, he was asked by the Al-Hakim to solve the problem, but he couldn't. So finally he was arrested and put in jail. And fortunately for him, Al-Hakim passed away, and the range of Egypt was passed to his son, and his son released Ibn Haytham. And then Ibn Haytham decided not to venture in the engineering or applied science, but he concentrated on camera. So he produced a book called Al-Manazir, which lasts more than 500 years and was a book for the university student during this era. So we produced a lot of people like him. So during the Islamic era, and also we have Al-Biruni, which we know about him very well. He was born in Uzbekistan, and polymaths also, philosophers, astronomers, and also he was good in comparative studies, particularly in religion, because people in India also refer to him. So he did a lot of things during the range of I forgot the name of the king, but the king brought him around when he went to visit people in India and so on, and he was the one who advised the king about the system belief in Hindu. So he wrote books about comparative study between Islam, Hindu, and also Zoroaster. So just imagine, he's also a scientist, he's also fluent in history, and at the same time he also good in comparative religion. So Ibn Sina, also polymath and also a physician, and chemistry, astronomer, philosophers, and so on. So we produce people who has knowledge in very broad area, not in one discipline of that as we have today. So during the Islamic civilization also we establish a lot of institution, because in Islam, Islam emphasizes so much about seeking knowledge. So Rasulullah SAW did say that "Utlubu ilmu wala bisin, utlubu ilmu min al-mahdi ila al-lahdi," from cradle to grave. Seek knowledge. If you have to go to China, you seek knowledge, meaning that even not from a Muslim, you can seek knowledge from them. Of course, this knowledge is science and technology, because it's nothing to do with the religion, just how to understand the nature. So at that time, they also produce Baitul Hikmah, and Baitul Hikmah become the center of translation during that area. So then Baitul Hikmah and Baghdad become the international city for the international people to come and learn in that particular area. So 4 major universities that Islam produced is University of Zaytuna in 737, very earlier than University of Azhar, but unfortunately they have to close University of Zaytuna because of war, and also because of fighting among Muslims in the 16th centuries before the fall of Islamic civilization. And then the second university in Islam, but the first university recognized by UNESCO until today, is University of Qarawiyyin in Fes, Morocco, was established in 859 by Lady Fatima Al-Fihri. And then University Azhar was established, I mentioned to you just now about Al-Biruni during his time, about Ibn Haytham. So Ibn Haytham studied in Azhar University in those days. So very earlier, because when he was 20 years old, he went he migrated from Basra to Cairo in order to study there, and he found that there was a very systematic education system in Cairo at that time, which is University Azhar. And the first university is University of Sankore in Mali, in Timbuktu, Mali. So, Islam is not just a religion, but they also establish a center for education, center for knowledge enhancement in all areas. So it attracts all people all over the world. And then it's also create what we call it Silk Road, SILK, Silk Road, where business people will go through that road in order to do business, because there is a booming of cities around the area. So how they contact from one city to another city, and how knowledge become the focal point where people go and study, and at the same time they establish the trade among themselves, among those who involved. And you can find that all of these centers of education was founded based on Wakaf fund. I mean, people belong to people. Actually, Wakaf fund is belong to God, but all the money give in the name of God to the university, to the agency, in order to establish the university. So the university become center where it's free from the influence of the rulers of that particular country. So in case in Egypt is free from palace at the time. So at that time, this is very big university. So other small like mosque itself in Cordoba, for instance, the first Cordoba university, actually the Cordoba mosque was a university built by the Umayyad at that time. in I think 7/6 something, because after the fall of Umayyad in Syria or in Damascus, so they migrate to the Andalusia as well as to the Morocco, and they establish another center of education. So similarly, what happened in Samarkand, Tus, and so on, become the intellectual center of the world. So many scholars, including the West, but not so many because they were in the dark ages. There was, a lot of pirates, Viking, and so on in that area. In Scandinavia, they call it Viking. In UK, they call it pirates, and so on at that time. So not many scholars, except the sons of king from UK. They know that they have the center, particularly in Spain. So they came to Spain and to study there. And this was admitted by the current king of UK, Prince Charles III. He is now the patron of Islamic Foundation in UK. Now it's called Maxfield Institute of Higher Education. At the same time, he also the patron of the OXIS, Oxford Center for Islamic Studies, and he delivered a speech saying that some of the son of the King of England sent their children to Spain in particular, in order to learn from Muslim how to get knowledge, particularly scientific knowledge. And then during the Western civilization, there was no conflict between the church and the secular scientists. Oh, there was a conflict. No conflict. There was a conflict between church and secular. If you look what happened to Galileo and Galilei versus about Pope Urban VIII, you can read from Hellman's book. He mentioned about the clash between church and scientists, and particularly he mentioned about Galileo Galilei, because when Galileo Galilei was the friend of Pope Urban VIII during their childhood. They went to church together. They sing in the church together. But when they become older, one of them become Pope Urban VIII, and Galileo Galilei decided to be, today we call it scientist. And he studied, actually, I think he studied from the book written by Al-Biruni. And he said that this earth that I'm stepped on right now is moving around sun, not the opposite way. I mean, is heliocentric rather than geocentric. Because Pope Urban believed that our world is the center of universe, meaning that we are, all the planet moving around us. But Galileo said that no, our planet, which is Earth right now, and Sun move around Sun. And why I say this, because Al-Biruni always mentioned in his writing the evidence of the eclipse, solar eclipse and moon eclipse, and he predicted very well in 1019. In April is for the moon eclipse, and in September for the solar eclipse. And exactly at the date it happened, meaning that he can calculate, even though the time the eclipse doesn't happen yet. So he predict by his calculation. So how can he calculate the event of an eclipse without knowing that moon move around the Earth and moon and Earth moving around the sun? So some books say that Galileo Galilei got this idea from Al-Biruni. So, but when Galileo Galilei mentioned this, Pope Urban VIII brought him to the court, to the church court, and then finally they found him guilty, and he was arrested and put in the house arrest. And unfortunate for his student, Bruno something, was put on trial, and one again he found him guilty, and they put him on fire and they kill him on fire. So that what happened to the scientists during that day. Because of that, they have to say that no, we are not doing anything. We just try to understand how the system works, how the universe works. But if it is again your belief, you have to prove it to me. But if you cannot prove it to me, how can I believe it to you? So it's similarly with us. Some of us say that Allah SWT say Al-Qur'an like this, but people cannot believe, easily believe without any evidence, because our mind is not satisfied with just giving, so and so. So that's what happened to Galileo Galilei, and because of they put all the scientists, nearly all of them, they put in jail, they put on trial and whatever it is, they harass them. So finally what they say that, no, we are still Christian, we are not doing anything, we believe in God as you believe in that God. Similarly, we believe in Trinity, whatever it is, but this evidence shows us that our earth moving around the sun. So I cannot, accept other evidence. So because of that, after what happened to him, I was mentioned that even our Nobel laureate Stephen Hawking is a very, particular when mentioning about this thing, because he don't want to got caught in conflict with people in the church. But this doesn't happen in Islam. Okay, so to avoid clash between the church and the scientists, so S&T activities are secularized. So they do it in separate manner. They do it that we are not doing anything with religion. We just try to find out, to understand the property of nature, which is now the properties of our planet. So this is what they said. And then the re-emergence of authority conflict. So the clash between the church and scientists adopt vision into the education system. Then finally, they put in their education system. In Islam, different opinions are part of Islamic teaching. So we were told that, our idea, different idea is rahmah. So that is what we were told in Islam. So don't fight each other, but try to understand each other. Try to, if you are science background like me, maybe you think as a scientist. But if your background not a scientist, maybe from religious study, maybe from Usuluddin, or maybe from faith, you have that background will set your mind. So having different opinion is not harm in Islam. It's rahmah. In fact, it's welcoming. So in fact, the different are welcome by the education in Islam. It's not in the secular system. But when issue relate to the faith, aqidah arise, different opinion, we are worried. This is what happened to Imam Al-Ghazali. So Imam Al-Ghazali have to write a book called Tahfud Al-Falasifah, Incoherent of Philosophers, because some of the Muslim scholars, after learning from the Greek scholars, they also said that our world has no beginning and has no end. So this is what Al-Ghazali tried to correct them. So he put this in Tahfud Al-Falsafah. Also the concept of time. He mentioned about wrong judgment about this thing. So that's why he come to the conclusion, not all philosophy is harmful. Not all philosophy is wrong. Some of the philosophy, because in the old days, in the Greek era, they call it philosophy. What is philosophy? Philosophy is love of wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom is seeking the truth, the way of how to seek the truth. So meaning finally you want to find the truth. When this eclipse happened, you want to find the truth. What is happening now? Can you please explain to me? So the best explanation will be accepted. So according to Al-Ghazali, some of the clash of this philosopher is okay. Some of the incoherence, not the clash, the incoherent of the philosophers is okay. But when it's regard to the natural phenomena, but when it comes to the issue of mu'jizat in Al-Qur'an, Isra and Mi'raj and so on, you cannot use scientific approach in order to explain, in order to understand, in order to find the truth. How Rasulullah SAW did go through all this event, Isra and Mi'raj, move from Minal Masjid al-Haram ila al-Masjid al-Aqsa, and then go to the Jannatul Ma'wa, the Jannah of Ma'wa, and he met all these prophet like Musa, Isa, Ibrahim, and so on. So how are you going to explain that? So in Islam, this is mu'jizat, something beyond mind can capture, beyond mind of beyond scientific evidence. So we just accept it. But some of the Muslim scholars, Mu'tazilah, they said no. We can only accept the truth if it is scientifically proven. That is the problem. So that's why you can find now what is the come out from that is that some people, the manifestation of that is that people will reject religion. That is the manifestation. What happened in the West right now. So I like her and she like me. So what? They said you have to go and see Qadi to, and ask permission to get married. No, we are happy now without going to all this procedure. So why must I go? What is meant by happy? We are happy. If you say that the result of having a good family is happiness, we are happy now, without going through to the process of akad nikah and so on. So this is the argue. So similarly, that's why we know the limit. That's why Al-Ghazali in Tahfud al-Falsafah, he said that the philosopher has the limit. Not all knowledge can be, we can use philosopher as a basis in order to understand the nature. That they call it philosopher in that time. Okay, so later the book of Tahfud al-Falsafah become the basis of Islamic epistemology. So particularly in science. So some scholars say because of the Tahfud al-Falsafah, science Islam become, because you cannot comment anymore. You cannot explain why when King Namrud put Prophet Ibrahim a.s. in fire, it didn't burn. Why when he slaughtered his son Ismail, now we celebrate as Idul Adha, Allah replaced Ismail a.s. with a goat, a nice goat. You cannot explain. So because this is not scientific, this is mu'jizat, something that you cannot think of. And number two, mu'jizat it doesn't repeat. It only happened once. The Isra Mi'raj only one. Rasulullah, Prophet Ibrahim a.s. put in fire only once. Prophet Musa a.s. just put his stick on ocean, and then the water break into two parts. That is the mu'jizat. That is so. So the Muslim know that limitation. So they still bring the Islam under the sign under the umbrella of Islam. So this is what they establish, and they teach all this subject in their university. I just want to share with you, this is my visit to museum in Taif, because the government of Arab Saudi invited us, part of us, to as their guests of the king. So we were brought to this museum, and this is the old museum. The old museum telling us about the story of Quba Mosque. This is the Quba Mosque during Prophet SAW, and this is the today. So they have got yard inside here, which is here, and instead of like this, and they put like this. So now they have a net here in order to avoid birds coming in the hall of prayer hall. So here, where Rasulullah taught Muslim in Madinah and bring Ansar and Muhajirin together and so on. And now this university, also the old university in Damascus, mosque, Umayyad mosque, and the old days, and today, until today, you can see that people learn in the mosque. So this is part of university in Damascus. So inside the mosque, there is grave of Prophet Yahya inside the mosque. So if you look at on the roof, it was mentioned by the guide inside that who told us about this building. He said that you can see from here that this is part of the church, meaning that they convert a church before Islam to become a mosque, and then they pray here and they learn in this mosque. So this is another mosque, which is to me very nice. You can see from outside as well as from inside. But in the old days, of course, we don't have camera, but we have the drawing of this particular mosque. And from inside first, you can see here, this is what they call it zawiyah. This is zawiyah. There is one teacher will teach you about certain knowledge, and another zawiyah will teach you about another knowledge. So there are several zawiyah inside a mosque. So this is where people pray here, but this is some musafir who come here, who like to pray, they can pray here. This is outside of the mosque. Inside the mosque, they learn. Outside the mosque, they have a lot of training. So some people, meet after the other and also do some business and outside this one. So this is the mosque. If you go now, this is inside the mosque. This is today. Instead of here, is here as the zawiyah, today they make it as a place where you can take your wudu. If you go back the previous one, this is where people learn here. But today, because you can see from here, because it's surrounded by another building, so also University Azhar is very near there, so you just go to learn in outside. So it's no more, they don't teach no more inside. So this is just to give you the function of the mosque. It's not just only a place where you perform your salah, but also the place where people learn from each other, from a scholar. And people do a lot of things, like they do a lot of debates, they exchange their ideas, also but outside of this mosque, there also another business going on, which is trading outside. So another place which is very important to go and ponder, this is where Baitul Hikmah. This is inside the Baitul Hikmah where you got the fountain. During the summertime, it's very warm, it's very hot. So when you have a fountain there, so it will cool down by what they call it, evaporative cooling. There's another term in science, evaporative cooling, which is by evaporation. So evaporation will absorb some of the heat from surrounding, and then it will reduce the temperature, and then it becomes a nice place to study or to meet, whatever it is. This is some of the drawing showing us how busy inside that Baitul Hikmah during daily days. And this is some of the particular books and also literature inside that. And this is from outside. So where Muslim recognize the establishment, the academic establishment, the university, the Baitul Hikmah, the mosque, and all those things. So this is in Spain, in Spanish, Cordoba. Cordoba come from Khalifa, and Cordoba, later on people in Spain call it Cordoba. Actually from Cordoba is from Khalifa. So in Spain. It was, before that was church, and then in 1236, after the fall of whatever it is, they change into the church again. So this is inside of the Cordoba Mosque, which is the reflection of the Masjid Nabawi in the Madinah. You can see it from here as well. And the guide will explain to you how Islam or Muslim changed the taste of people in Spain, having building like people in Arab from Islamic point of view. And I just take this minaret because according to guide mentioned to me, if you remove the outside here, you can see the minaret, the real true minaret. So they just cover the minaret by using this thing and the foot bell on the top to be cathedral. So today, if you go this, you cannot pray inside. They not allow you to pray. They said clearly to you that this is not mosque anymore because we already converted this mosque into cathedral. Okay, this is the first mosque, but unfortunately we cannot see the first one. This is the Zaitana University, and it was rebuilt on 24th of April 1956, just 1 year before the independence of Malaysia in that particular time. So they rebuilt that building in order to make to tell the people that they are the one who built the first university in the world. But unfortunately, because of the clash among Muslim and also the crusade among Islam and the Christians, and they have to close the university. Because of the closure of the university, UNESCO don't recognize them as the oldest university because it stopped in 16th centuries. So this is today, you can see the building. So this is University Qarawin in Fes, Morocco, and also you can see from inside, very beautiful and very nice place for the student to study here. You know, the weather in Morocco, like in Europe as well. There are winter, there's summer, and very nice to stay here. And in the wall here, if you go closely, you can find sundial telling you about a time for Dhuhr, time for Asar, by looking at the shadow. And a lot of fountain here to cool the building. So, meaning that this is not just a place where people pray, but also people study, and very nice place for everyone to come. So this is University Azhar. Of course, it's not a photo in 972. This is latest photo, but the oldest one that I can get is from here by David Gardiner here. But this is today, University Azhar, the courtyard of the university, and this is the one where people study here, and this is in front of that particular university. So if you look at this, it gives you some inspiration that we are the one who built the system of education without separate religions and other activities. I mean, science and technology, economy, management, whatever it is. And this is the Sankora University in Timbuktu, still there, and you can go and see the university, but they preserve the university. Of course, it begins with the mosque. Like Azhar, begin with mosque. Qarawin begin with mosque. And then finally they expand that mosque, become university. That's why they call it Jami'ah. University of Jami'ah, Masjid Jami'ah as well. So Jami'atul Islamiyah means Islamic University. So the term is still there. It's the mosque. And then this is where the place of, I mentioned to you before this, the development of civilization, whatever it is, so that we can, we can follow it. And I just want to share with you this, so I try to find out what they teach in that university. So if you go to Zaitana University, this is what they study in those days. They study about religious knowledge, especially the Quran, Sharia, law, history, science and technology. Remember, the term science is a very new term. It was introduced by in Latin, which called scientia. So, but the study of nature was there. Medicine, I mentioned to you, beginning of this lecture. So the university also has numerous in all fields of knowledge and natural sciences, including documentation, science of logic, research ethics, cosmology, arithmetic. So meaning that in university, they already teach you subject of science in that particular time. You just imagine. And then the Qarawin University, among the subject taught, in addition to the Quran and fiqh, grammar, rhetoric, logic, medicine, mathematics, astronomy. So once again, so how can you say that Islam does not emphasize on science and technology, or science and technology become the second knowledge? No, we need that knowledge together with fiqh, together with usuluddin and so on. And because having of knowledge of usuluddin, it will encourage you to develop science and technology, because we are, or Allah SWT already confer bestow as a Khalifatullah fil ard, the creature who is going to govern, who is going to manage this world. How can we manage this world without knowing the properties of this world? How I'm going to manage my money if I don't understand what is all money? How can I manage my agriculture, banana or paddy, or now we have our palm oil, without knowing the properties of palm oil? So meaning that we are the one Allah addressed to us. Yarfa'illahu alladhi wa isqala rabbuka lil malaikati inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifah. And remember, Allah said to Malaika, inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifah, that I'm going to create Khalifah in this world, which is us. So Khalifah must have the knowledge of science and technology in order to conduct, to be a good Khalifah. So that's why all university teach this, starting from the beginning. They don't separate. If you go to Azhar today, still they offer you the course in medicine. Al-Azhar University, astronomy, philosophy, logic, then and so on. And then Sankore University, of course, it was read by Qadi Akib. He was Qadi. He want to solve the problem of fiqh. So you have to, according to my reading, saying that Al-Akib was, he made university as a place where you can conduct research up to the degree of PhD. And if you got that degree PhD, you will be called Ayatullah. The people will put on you Al-Qur'an on top, on your head, saying that you are the one who know about the knowledge, not Al-Qur'an, about the knowledge revealed to you by Allah SWT, because Allah want to make you become Khalifatullah fil ard, who are the one who is going to manage this world. So now we confer to you this degree because we do recognize that you are able in order to solve all these problems. So you got your PhD. So until up to this point. So at this time, the study of hadith, legislation and knowledge related to spiritual according to Islam. Finally, they began to the economy and business school, including business ethics and so on. So in that university, and just to prove you again, some of the scientific finding, because I'm going to talk about science, by the Western actually was discovered by Muslim. For example, blood circulation was discovered by Ibn al-Nafis, but today people call it William Harvey. But William Harvey, this is the era of William Harvey. But you see Ibn Hafiz, 1213. You see here, 1578. The convergence of light, Ibn Haytham. I mentioned to you just now, he was the father of optics. And today we said this is from Isaac Newton. Actually not. It's from Ibn Haytham. Air and its mass. You know how to weight the air. Al-Khadim. Today, terrestrially. Gravitational law. Also Al-Khadim. Today, Isaac Newton. The theory of gravity, we say Newton. No. Al-Khadim. This is the time. 900 to 971. During the era of, before era of Ibn Sina. theory of evolution, Ibn Muscavy, not Charles Darwin. Principle of astronomy, Batani of Margani, not Copernicus. So until today, people know this, that discovery of scientific method, principle of astronomy, was done by Muslim scholars. And these people just took it from them. Because of the conflict between Islam and Christian, because the conflict between scientists in Christian and their churches, they got a problem, said they want to separate this. So when they said, okay, we got this from a Muslim, it's okay. But if you say this is from doctrine of church, then you got problem. Because it's again the doctrine of church. So as a conclusion, I think it's already 12:33. Okay, as a conclusion, I can say this: science and technology is very imperative for any student, very important that we have to master. Today, why our world belong to America, to Europe, to Japan and Korea? Because they are the one who conquered the science and technology, who invented this handphone. So they make a lot of money. We just know how to use this handphone. So who invented this computer in front of me, in front of you? They are the one. We just use it. We are the utilizer. They are the one who invented that thing. So we need to produce our science and technology who can, save this world from this the issue of secularism, which finally it kill of the human values. So the development of science and technology in all civilization is based on the value system adopted by the civilization. So during the Greek Empire, by the system of belief in the Greek Empire, which they have to separate between science and religious. That's why Socrates was arrested. And also in Byzantium, you can see I mentioned to you several times. And in Islam, we never separate. We call it Tawhidic science because all the knowledge is modeled on, or based on Tawhidic concept. That's why now today people call about Tawhidic economic. In Malaysia we call it the human economic, economic manusiawi. But actually it's Tawhidic economic because the Tawhidic concept, it cannot go. Science is the Tawhidic science. So the concept of Tawhid become the basis of all other knowledge developed on top. So we must understand this Tawhid. Not only Allah know, Allah know best about His revelation, but by having a good faith in God, we can develop other knowledge on top of that. Western secular education also, of course, they got the inspiration from Greek and Byzantium in order to create the science. So they have to belittle the contribution of Muslim scholars. This is argument put forward by Montgomery when he said the Western people should thanks a lot to the Muslim scholars because without Muslim scholars, the science that we have right now will be not as we can see today. They are the one who put a very good foundation in optic, in gravity, in blood circulation. I mentioned to you, in all this concept, they are the one who put the foundation in chemistry in particular. So our role now is how to restore science activities based on the concept of Tawhid as suggested by Muslim scholars throughout our time. That is the challenges. I think that is the lecture for today. Inshallah, next week I will start with the what is science itself. Wallahu alam. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah, I think I already give you the slide, isn't it?